Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News for this Monday, October 8. A special welcome if you're watching on onesportsmedia.com. The management of China Harbor Engineering Company CHEC and the union representing workers on the Mandela Highway and 3 Miles Road improvement projects are currently locked in a meeting. The high-level meeting with the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees UCASE is being held to settle a dispute between CHEC and workers. More than 150 workers stayed off the job last week to protest low wages and poor working conditions. They returned to work on the weekend. The meeting began sometime after 10 this morning. The outcome of the mediation process involving O'Brien's car sales and rental and the National Security Ministry is expected to be disclosed this week. It's in relation to the contract to supply 200 used vehicles to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. More in this report.
The matter was placed before mediation after O'Brien's failed to fulfill the contract to supply the vehicles despite being paid more than $230 million. To date, O'Brien's has only delivered 66 cars. The government is seeking to recover the money paid for procurement of the vehicles. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the mediation process was concluded last week.
They have concluded their discussion. They indicate to me that they have come to acceptable conclusion without waivers. No, they're not to go any further. The government is represented by a distinguished lawyer, Walter Scott, and the AW represented Mr. O'Brien. And I expect that if we're not going any further, they have come to a conclusion that will be satisfactory.
Dr. Chang says he is to receive a report of the outcome of the process. He expects to table the report in the House of Representatives on a Tuesday. However, he says it could be released publicly before it is tabled. In the meantime, the National Security Minister says the fraud investigation into the actions of O'Brien's car sales and rental is continuing.
The police is investigating the matter if there was anything fraudulent done. That I don't know how far they are, but the mediation came to a conclusion. I haven't got the full report yet.
O'Brien's is being investigated by the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Branch, CTOC. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A 22-year-old man is dead and his older brother being questioned in connection with the incident. The deceased has been identified as Anthony Campbell of Richmond, Manchester. He was found outside his house with a stab wound below the armpit. Dalton Campbell, an uncle of the deceased, believes it's the result of a domestic dispute.
If mother, I try to live away with picnic, you're not going to find it good. Because if you have a picnic and you can't parrot, you must can say something to him, and you not hate none of them. You can't love one and hate one. No book, no read so. That's how we don't love you have. You don't love the nice guy and thing, and a person where willing and, you know, give no trouble and, steal or nothing. Work me and his bread, and the whole community miss him,
Later that day, this house, which was occupied by the mother of the deceased and 6 other persons, as well as a shop under construction, were burned to the ground.
Well, me did sleep, and when me rise up now, me see, a lot of people and fire brigade. So me go down there. Then say house burned down and thing.
The Health Ministry is reporting an increase in the number of people globally being affected by non-communicable diseases. Our reporter Shamela Pullen was at a press briefing this morning and filed this report.
Ended here at the Ministry of Health in St. Andrew. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton discussed several things that were highlighted during that high-level meeting about a week ago. Dr. Tufton, can you just brief us as to some of the things that took place?
Well, there are 2 meetings, one at PAHO in Washington, where we discussed a range of issues affecting the region, and then brought over to the UN high-level meeting focusing on NCDs in particular. And the discussions there brought all the experts, health ministers, heads, to look at non-communicable diseases, look at it on a global perspective. All have concluded that it's getting worse, and therefore the attempts at influencing behavioral change is going to be essential to changing lifestyle. And what it has done for us in Jamaica, it certainly validates some of the things that we are doing, but it also gave us new ideas. It allowed us to share some ideas like the Jamaica moves and the launch of Caribbean moves. And we are back refreshed, made some connections in terms of additional collaboration, knowing that what we're doing, we need to continue and enhance. And that for me is important.
Thank you, Dr. Tufton. And of course, we will have more in primetime news this evening at 7. Reporting from the Ministry of Health in St. Andrew, I'm Shamela Pullen for TVJ News.
An emergency stakeholders meeting is to be held in Waterhouse, St. Andrew to address crime in the area. Head of the St. Andrew South Police, Superintendent Gary Francis, says a date has not yet been set for the meeting, as every effort is being made to have all parties present.
I'm inviting everyone to attend. Most of our meetings, we only see females, right? So we are inviting males, females, young and old, as also the critical stakeholders, political persons, business people, as also other agencies to be a part of that meeting, that we can see the path as we chart the path forward to make this community a safe place to live.
The community has been in turmoil as rivaling East and West Side gangs have burned houses and killed several people. Counseling is being provided for traumatized residents.
You have seen young, I don't remember her name, but she clinged to me and decided she will not go down. So I have to hold her. But the truth is that there are times that I'm told that persons are so afraid that children are not attending school. Those reports, we are acting on them. As a result, we have the police present in this community on a round-the-clock basis.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, is expanding police youth clubs to schools to strengthen the fight against crime. The initiative is expected to steer more children away from criminal activities. Details in this report.
At least they will be able to leave Midday primary having the basic of life, the basic mannerism, the basic of discipline.
Principal of the Midday Primary School in Clarendon, Paul Scott, sharing his thoughts about the implementation of police youth clubs in schools. The program, which is headed by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, focuses on steering children away from violence. Head of the JCF's Community Safety and Security Branch, Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor, says an increasing number of children are becoming perpetrators as well as victims of crimes. That's why a targeted approach is being taken towards reducing the number of children getting involved in crime and violence.
And what will happen to your youngsters when they come into the police youth club is that this will be inculcated in them to make them better young people of our future. This is how we are going to solve crime and violence in our country. I'm telling you. Anything else is short-term stopgap. But if we are going to do it in a permanent way, we have to influence our youngsters so that they don't grow to become what these youngsters are doing now.
Mr. McGregor was speaking at Thursday's launch of the Police Youth Club at the Midday Primary School. Mr. Scott believes the early intervention will help to reduce crime and violence.
Sometimes the situations, yes, we address them when the students get to high school, when they leave high school and get into society. And I see that's a major problem that the police is having. There seems to be addressing issues that start from very early in life. So if we can arrest those problems from early, then the police force, not saying that you're not going to have anything to do, but you will be able to carry out your real mandate.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
This afternoon, an appeal for the local government ministry to release funds to fix a culvert to help reduce flooding in sections of Westmoreland. Access roads to several communities, including Top Road, Long Pond and Bay Road, were inundated during heavy rains over the weekend. Councillor for the Little London Division, Ian Miles, says plans to repair culverts in May have not been executed.
For the students who has to go to school tomorrow morning and has to utilize a thoroughfare. So we are now calling on the Minister of Local Government and, Desmond McKenzie, who has the responsibility for those matters, to lend a helping hand. The estimates have been submitted, they have been signed off on, and we here are wondering what is happening, why the funds cannot be made available to undertake these. St. James flooded the same time when Westmoreland flooded in May, and to date, as a matter of fact, St. James has gotten funds the same time, immediately.
Mr. Miles wants the local government minister to address the issue quickly.
Yes, you asked the question of whether or not the minister had made it clear that the monies are there at the council, and whether or not we have been following protocol. We have been doing that here in Westmoreland. I can't speak for the other municipal corporations, but for the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation, we have been doing that because we would have followed protocol in terms of doing the estimates, table the estimates to the PS, and due follow-up would have been made. All the calls would have been made from either end. The communication would have been received by the municipal corporation, likewise at the ministry. But we are now wondering why the funds cannot be made available, even though the monies are there.
Hospitals in Port-de-Paix, Haiti are struggling to cope with the fallout from the earthquake and strong aftershocks which killed at least 14 people. The city, which is about 219 kilometers from the capital, Port-au-Prince, was the hardest hit by the magnitude 5.9 quake. About 188 people are injured. At the Immaculate Conception Hospital, doctors and nurses do not have enough supplies to treat the wounded. This is made worse by frequent electricity outages and damage to the hospital building. More bed spaces will be available at the Spanish Town Hospital following the construction of additional rooms at the Spanish Town Infirmary. The facility was officially opened last week. Here's TVJ's Kirk Wright.
Now that the facility is finished, 40 persons who now live at the Spanish Town Hospital, taking up valuable bed spaces, will be moved to the infirmary. The expansion is a joint effort by the Ministries of Health and Local Government.
National Health Fund, the Ministry of Health, donated $4 million to be a part of this project, and also donors who made it possible for the project to be carried out.
Chief Operating Officer of the Spanish Town Hospital, Dwayne Francis, says patients can expect an improvement in service delivery.
We are sure to see significant improvement in admission rates, and also the rate per discipline and per ward, because our social cases are not just spread out on one ward. We're talking about persons spread out on surgery, orthopedic, medicine, especially on medicine, where most of our cases that come through the A&E are going to.
With 10% of the bed spaces in hospitals being occupied by people who have nowhere else to go, the plan is to find accommodation for them elsewhere, creating additional bed spaces in hospitals.
Nationally, we have over 350 such social cases. Now, if we have just under 4,000 beds across the country, and we have nearly 400 of them persons living in the hospital as social cases,
and by right, you can't turn them out.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says more relief is coming for hospitals.
I'm pleased to announce that our next stop is Westmoreland, where we're going to be providing the funds, working with the Ministry of Health to construct a similar facility in Westmoreland starting in the month of November. Clarendon is also on the card. As we move right across the country to free up the bed space.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
And in sports, the Jamaica Scorpions will be looking for their third win in a row in the regional Super 50 when they take on the United States at the Kensington Oval in Barbados on Monday. The Scorpions are atop Group B on 9 points, while the United States are at the foot of the table without a point. Chris Gayle, who scored a century on Saturday, will be out of the Scorpions lineup as he will leave to play in the Afghanistan Premier League. When both teams met in February, the Scorpions defeated the USA by 80 runs. The match bowls off at 1 p.m. Jamaica time. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Do remember to join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.